Happy almost end of March day! I'm filming this like, what day is this? This is the 23rd of February. That is like ages, a month essentially before the actual end of March day. But we did the filming for it tonight and I did something that was very difficult for me, and I spoke in Gaelic and I messed up a little bit at the end, but huge thanks to Vicky, Robbie, Alistair for your massive assistance and making it possible for me to speak Gaelic when I am very much a early stage learner. I thought it was really important that Gaelic was used when representing Scotland, especially since it was like our little itty bit on the worldwide Endomarch stage, so I wanted that to be included. So I'm very excited about the Endomarch because it'll be a full day of just like people sharing stories and all of their fundraising goals and like showing how much awareness is being raised and everything. So it's always quite an empowering day just seeing everybody talk about it. But yeah, that's today in your time, but I am in the past. I hope things get better. Bye. Somehow miraculously balancing.
We want to try and educate younger people in the city and across the north, and encourage other people in the north as well to set up their own endometriosis marches, as well as helping to people with endometriosis in the north to save them from travelling, and also to up the profile for Endometriosis UK and other organisations as well, to raise that awareness, as there is around 20,000 people across Leeds with endometriosis, and we want them to be aware that they're not alone and come together as a team.
Hello from Team Scotland, I'm Brittany, one of the helpline volunteers, and from all of our support groups in Glasgow, Fife, Dundee, Edinburgh, the Borders, Aberdeen, Caithness and Sutherland, we wish you a fantastic Endomarch. Hamian Dokus, Good Cord and Near Shreed.
Back, Emma Cox. Mute. Hi, I'm another Emma Cox. I'm Chief Executive at Endometriosis UK. And we are a small staff organisation but a huge volunteer organisation, and a big thank you to all the volunteers organising endo marches, as well as support groups and the helpline, and all the work that gets done to really help those with endometriosis across the UK. The volunteers are the organisation, so thank you team.
Hello, so this is actually Brittany from the present future. I don't know, whenever you're watching this. I didn't actually film on Endo March Day much. I intended to, and then it was just busy and life got in the way. There are snippets that you'll have seen that, yeah, were of the actual like official worldwide Endo March video that came from the UK. Well, hopefully you enjoyed that. I used Gaelic, like I said, and wasn't very good at it, but I tried my best. So I figured that before I put this up, maybe I'd give you a brief overview of some of the books that I had said were in that pile of books that I had showed you that I was using to research about endometriosis for the blog that I was writing. But the first book, which I'm going to just point out to you, this is called Private Parts by Eleanor Tom, and I was actually supposed to do an interview with her back in March of last year, because it was for the I Write Festival, which is a festival for books that happens here in Glasgow, and it unfortunately happened right as like lockdown was going on with COVID, so we didn't actually get to do that in the end, which was a real shame, because last year I was trying to do some endo related content as well and had set that all up, and then it fell through. But you know who has done an interview with Eleanor Tom? Katie has done an interview with Eleanor Tom for her new podcast, which is just launched today actually. It's called Overreacting, and I'll link it down below. You should definitely check it out. Eleanor and her talk about this book and Eleanor's journey and what she has been through with endometriosis, her thoughts on endo, and how things should change moving forward. So this is kind of her story of her experience with endometriosis, like advice on coping and living with endometriosis. So not just kind of an overview of the disease, but also just how to manage and live with it, or at least how she has. So it's a really good book, highly recommend it. It's a great read. Now completely changing from something that's a bit more personal to something that's a bit more clinical. This is Endometriosis, the Expert's Guide to Treat, Manage and Live Well with Your Symptoms. So this is a book that was put together by Professor Andrew Horn and Carol Pearson. This book is all of the information that you need to live with endometriosis, essentially from a clinical standpoint. So maybe, I'm not sure if this is something outside of the UK that will, I don't know, a lot of the care recommendations and information is geared towards the UK specifically, but there are things like, this is a pain and symptom diary, just an example of what you can write for yourself, and that's applicable to anybody with endometriosis like symptoms wherever you are. So it's not just a UK based thing, and hopefully that is helpful to you. The other book that I will recommend is It's About Bloody Time, period. This is a book by Emma Barnett. She is a journalist, and she, I think now, is on BBC's Women's Hour. I think she runs that, and I actually got to speak with her at the APPG inquiry for endometriosis at Westminster last year. So I was one of the 3 endometriosis patients selected to talk at that particular inquiry. So Emma was the other one, and she spoke, you know, as a journalist would, eloquently and very passionately about what her experience has been. She's been through a lot of the kind of fertility side of things as well. So she kind of goes through her experience with periods, with endometriosis, and her diagnosis, and just how all of that went down for her. And it's quite entertaining as well. Like, it's not all just doom and gloom and serious. Like, it can be quite funny. Same with Eleanor Toms. Like, there's moments where you just like laugh at how ridiculous things are, but then also that like we have that experience all together basically. So another book that was in that pile is Vagina Problems, Endometriosis, Painful Sex and Other Taboo Topics by Lara Parker. This book I actually haven't finished reading yet, but she used to work for BuzzFeed, and I've read a load of her articles on BuzzFeed about endometriosis, and follow her on Twitter and everything, and she's very open and, you know, very brutally honest about what living with the condition is, because she not only has endometriosis but vaginismus, so she deals with that as well, and has gone through the ringer when it comes to trying out different things that work for her, things that don't work for her, and it's a very relatable, yeah, it's very relatable material. But something else which isn't specifically endometriosis related but is a fantastic read, and I've actually talked about this back in one of my endometriosis surgery vlogs, the 3-part series that I did, because this book had just come in. Again, I haven't read everything in it yet, but it is a collection of short stories on the connection between hormones and their relationship on your body, on your mind, just the different things that hormones do to you and how they impact you. It's a very intersectional book as well. It's very eye-opening to different experiences that you may not have thought about before. I think when we talk about hormones, it's very easy to be like contraception or menopause, and there's these images that come up of like women's health and women's health problems, but it's not just women who have hormones. Like, everybody's got hormones, and so we need to talk about the way that they impact different people and look at hormones from like an intersectional perspective. And it's, yeah, it's a really insightful, fascinating read on just how hormones impact people in different ways. And yeah, definitely recommend So Hormonal. So this is a book called Endometriosis, The Doctor Will See You Now. Again, haven't read all of it cover to cover yet, but I think this is one of those books that some people have found has been really helpful for them in understanding endometriosis, and some people have found this quite difficult in other ways. I think this is from the perspective of a surgeon. I believe Tamir Second is a surgeon. I could be entirely wrong, but it's signed off on by the Endometriosis Foundation of America, so I think it is very US focused, and I think it was published a while ago. This was published in 2016, so there is a lot of information that has changed since then. So if you do read this, just be cautious about the fact that some of this information may be outdated, and it's always worth double checking your sources and also comparing it to research material and how recent that research material is out there. The last book that was in that pile is Invisible Woman: Exposing Data Bias in a World Designed for Men by Creato, Perez. So again, this is one that I haven't read cover to cover yet, but it also doesn't really have to do with endometriosis. It just has to do with the kind of invisible nature of women in healthcare. I guess not just healthcare, but like the back of it says, imagine a world where your phone is too big for your hand, your doctor prescribes you a drug that is wrong for your body, in a car accident you are 47% more likely to be seriously injured. If any of this sounds familiar, chances are that you're a woman. So it's talking about, like, not just in medicine, but in the world in general, like women being like not catered to in the way that things are designed, including drugs, machinery, just, yeah, that essentially we're really not like taken into account as much as men are. That's my wee pile of books. So these are the books, and hopefully, I don't know, if you want to read them, I'll make a list of them down below in the description box, and I am happy to recommend any other reads on any of these subjects. I think I kind of collect some of this material because it's fascinating and really interesting to me. But that's all that I wanted to say on this Endo March day, I guess the day after. Hopefully you had a really good time of it and were able to engage with all of the information that was being shared around and all of the stories that were going out, and I hope you took care of yourself as well, because it can be a lot to have to process. There's just a lot that is quite triggering around the Endometriosis Awareness Month, I know, for a lot of people, and comparisons to experiences, comparisons to care, but hopefully you were able to find space to kind of step away and just be proud of yourself and wherever you're at with your journey and what you've gone through. So do take care of yourself, and I will check in with you tomorrow. Bye.